G'day and welcome to the Independence Breakthrough DVD. In this DVD, what we're going to do is learn a whole bunch of different snare drum solos, beginner, intermediate and advanced, depending on your ability level. And ultimately what we're going to do is play these snare drum solos over the top of ostinato figures on the feet, because that is one of the best ways that you can develop your four-way independence. If you can play snare drum solos or even just basic snare drum rudiments and sticking patterns over the top of, say, 4 on the floor, and then eventually turn it into a samba, add the hi-hats on the offbeat, and then start splashing as well. If you can get the foot pattern on autopilot, then eventually you can play anything that you like over the top with the hands, and that once you get to that level, you can really start to improvise, and you don't even have to worry about the snare drum solos anymore. They're just sort of musical phrases and things that I've put together, but ultimately you want to be able to improvise around the drum kit or even just on the snare drum over the top of the feet, and not have to worry about is everything lining up? You know, am I making sure I'm not splitting anywhere? Where does the bass drum fall? Where does the hi-hat fall in comparison to the hands? Once you get to that level, you won't even be thinking about that anymore. The feet will just be on autopilot and you'll be able to improvise over the top. Maybe like this. So let's start out with the basic beginner solos. In all of the 5 beginner solos, we're just using basic rhythms. So we're using 8th notes, 16th notes, and combinations of 8ths and 16ths joined together, and of course quarter notes as well. As we get into the intermediate solos, we start to use a lot more flams, all of the different flam strokes, flam taps, flam accents, some flam paradiddles, the flamacue, etc. And in the advanced section, we start to use rolls, rolls that start with flams, 4-stroke rusts, and things like that. So in the beginner section, it's nice and tame, and you'll definitely be able to play these solos. Now, the unique challenge when you're playing the snare drum is that just on its own, naturally, it's a fairly unmusical instrument in the sense that it's only got one pitch, it's only got one sound, and that is a very staccato sound. You hit the drum and it makes one very short sound. Okay, if we hold the stick down, we don't get a long note like we would if we held down a piano key. We'd get a sustained note. So our unique challenge when we're playing on the snare drum is how do we get the most amount of musicality out of an instrument that doesn't really give us many options, or gives us the least amount of options. So what we really need to pay attention to, and I've indicated this even in the beginner solos, is we really need to make the most out of our dynamics and also our phrasing, whether that's just basic phrasing using, simple syncopation ideas, or whether that's, eventually we'll get into some sort of cross phrasing over the bar line where we might be doing things that are a little bit tricky. But, in this sections, you can see even in beginner solo number 1, front line, there are sections where it's, we've got double F, or we've got double P, or we've got MP, etc. And really, really pay attention to that and really highlight or even exaggerate to a degree those dynamic markings, because that's what's going to really bring the music to life. If you just play the solos the same volume the whole way through and don't take any notice of the music, well, that's okay. But at that point, it's sort of just really a technical exercise, and you haven't really brought it to life yet. There's no real musicality about it if you just sort of charge through and just play everything loud, or even if you just played everything soft, it'd be just as boring. It'd be monotonous and just be monotone the whole way through. So make sure that you do pay attention to the dynamic markings, and that'll really sort of see it come to life. So at the start of all of the solos on this DVD, I'm going to do just a really quick talk about the main sort of ideas or things to watch out for through the solo, whether it's various sticking patterns or different phrases. Beginner solo number 1, front line, it's at 108 clicks per minute. Okay, that's the sort of tempo that we're at there. That's just a rough guide. You can sort of, speed up or slow down a tiny bit from there, but that's sort of the tempo that we're shooting for there. Now, in beginner solo number 1, As I said at the start, just make sure that where you see the crescendos, like on the bar before B or on the third bar after B, you've got crescendos there. They're the sorts of things that are really going to bring it to life. And you've also got some phrases, for instance, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars after B, you've got a phrase which is double F. Okay, so quite loud, we're going... Okay, so immediately after that, but, you've then got the same phrase again, but it's pianissimo, it's double P, so very soft. Okay, so make sure that you pay attention to that. The louds must be loud and the softs must be soft. And then 2 bars before C, you've got a crescendo and then a decrescendo. The rhythm is just 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and the whole way through. And this is where you really need to bring your stick heights in, because this is what's going to help you get those dynamics. If you're wondering how on earth do I play dynamics, stick heights is what it's all about. So if you want to play soft, you drop your sticks from a low height. And if you want to play loud, you drop them up here. Okay, so the 2 bars before C, we obviously start with the sticks really low because we're starting down here and we get a crescendo and we come up, and then we go back down again in the bar before C. So we get... etc. Okay, so that's what we're doing there. One other final thing, just in terms of an interesting point about the phrase, at section D, we're playing forte. We're playing, obviously, we're still in 4/4 time, but we're actually playing a 3-beat repetitive phrase. We're playing 2 beats of 16th notes, going 1 E and a 2 E and then we play 1 lot of 2/8 notes. So, I mean, essentially the phrase is repeating itself after 3 beats, even though there's 4 beats in every bar. So it's 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 and 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 and 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 and... Okay, so it would fit really easily into 3/4 time. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and 1. But we're playing it obviously in 4/4 time. What I'll do is I'll play the bass drum on 1 and 3 and the hats on 2 and 4 with the feet, just so you can see how it falls over the top of 4/4 time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's just an interesting note there. Let's have a look at beginner solo number 1, front line.